Okay, hello guys, and this is your third lesson on verb forms. So today we're going to look at using an ing after prepositions and a to infinitive after adjectives. And all the way through this month, I've been giving you a little quote from a famous writer, and today we've got C.S. Lewis, who wrote the Narnia books, so like The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe. And here's a good example of a to infinitive coming after an adjective pattern. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. So far we have talked about the difference between ing and to infinitives as objects as well as subjects. As I said, today we're looking at the difference where we use adjectives and prepositions. And then finally, the last week is next week, and we're going to look at 4 verbs taking an ing or an infinitive, but these verbs have got a change in meaning. Alright, so let's go straight on to looking at to infinitives after adjectives. You'll notice again the word often here. So this is not a 100% rule, but it is a good and useful guideline. So here's a couple of examples. It's not easy to learn a language, but it's fun. It can be exciting to visit new places, but it can also be scary at times. So purple words are the adjectives, and as you can see, they're followed by the to infinitive. Now we talked about this in the first time, that generally we prefer the gerund if we want to make the object the subject, and with these 2 sentences it gives us this. So learning another language isn't easy, but it's fun. Visiting new places can be exciting, but it can also be scary at times. So same meaning, but just we've slightly changed the grammar. Okay? So we can do the same with a couple of adjective patterns that are quite useful. And these 2 adjective patterns are to plus adjective or adjective plus not enough. So for example, I'm too tired to concentrate today. Or for many people, London's too expensive to buy a house. So here's the adjective, and it's preceded by to and then followed by a to infinitive. So that's quite a nice structure for you guys to think about. Particularly, I think, if you're doing a lot of writing at the moment, perhaps some IELTS writing or FCE writing, something like that, this is quite a nice pattern. The other one, my dog isn't big enough to come running with me. As you can see, this dog would not really be able to go for a run because it sits inside a teacup. And then we've got this pattern down here. Do you think this dress is smart enough to wear at the wedding? So again, the adjective and then enough, followed by to infinitive. And again, this is a useful pattern to be aware of. Okay, so let's move on and look at ings after prepositions. Now this is almost 100% true. So we almost always use ings after prepositions. There's actually only one exception, which I am going to show you. And when we talk about prepositions, we're also including phrasal verbs. So what that means for you is that when you've used a phrasal verb, you want to follow it with an ing form. So here's an example with a phrasal verb. His mum talked him out of buying an expensive car. So the phrasal verb here is talk out of. So you talk someone out of. It means you persuade them not to do something, or you convince them not to do something. Okay? And here's the final preposition of the phrasal verb. So it ends, it's followed by an ing form. Prepositions can follow nouns and pronouns. So, for example, films about falling in love are very popular, but I don't really like them. So there's your noun, there's your preposition, and there's your ing. And here's another example. I was angry with her for breaking her phone. So now you've got a pronoun, followed by a preposition, followed by the ing. And finally, we can also use prepositions after an adjective. And that's things like Emily's worried about failing her driving test. There's your adjective, there's your preposition, there's your ing form. Okay, and so now we're just going to quickly look at this one exception to the rule. And here's a quick, very quick quiz for you. What kind of a word is but? So is it A, a conjunction, B, a preposition, or C, is it a conjunction or a preposition depending on the context? So have a little think about that. Okay, the correct answer is in fact C. Now, before we go any further, I just want to say that using but as a preposition is quite unusual. It is not a common use of this word. It's used as a conjunction almost all the time, but there are certain situations where we do use but as a preposition. And when we use but as a preposition, it has the same meaning as this word, except. And if that's then followed by a verb, the verb needs to be a to infinitive. So let's have a look at some examples. As I had forgotten my passport, I had no choice but to go home. And in the second example, I had no choice except to go home. So here we're using these as prepositions followed by a to infinitive. And one more example. There's nothing left for me to do but to clean the bathroom. Again, you've got this preposition but followed by to infinitive. As I was as I was reading this to you, I was thinking, wow, for you guys, the easiest thing to do would be to just memorize this pattern and not worry about understanding it too much. Just know that in certain situations we can have a but followed by to infinitive. And again, this could be most useful to people who are doing some kind of academic writing, perhaps again IELTS or FCE, CAE, something like that. Alright, so here's a quick summary. To infinitive after adjectives is fairly common, and we can do this with adjective patterns like to plus adjective and not adjective plus enough. If we look at the ing after prepositions, we use ings after phrasal verbs, after nouns and pronouns with prepositions, after adjective and preposition combinations, but when we use but as a preposition, it's followed by a to infinitive. And if you're feeling a little bit kind of, oh, I don't really understand this, don't worry about it too much. You can focus on the other 5 bits of information here. That will already be enough to make a difference. Awesome. So let me know what you guys think about this. You can send me a message or post your comments. I'm not going to be here this weekend. I'm really busy at the moment with my summer job, but I'm hoping to be in the group next Sunday. So if you do have any questions, feel free to share them next week. Thanks very much.